Leaders, you think building team cohesion is about having retreats and making sure your team has chemistry. Both are important, but that's not what actually creates cohesion that can survive pressure. Now, what people want to say is, oh, leaders, you're doing it wrong. No, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's nobody's ever taught you the 5 pillars to creating a cohesive culture. I'm Dr. Philip-Neri, performance psychology. This is what my PhD research was about coming up with a framework that I could then share with leaders from many industries around the world to actually give you a blueprint and a playbook so you could use it to create a more cohesive culture. So keep doing the retreats, do the things that build team chemistry, but also let's spend some time on these 5 pillars. So the first one is mastery experience. So mastery experience is how good is somebody at X. So if you look at all your different personnel and write down what should each person in each different role be a master at, and it's going to be different, right? Their mastery experience has to be different for different roles. Make that list. Now, the second part is once that list is made is go through and grade everybody. Now, the goal is a 10 out of 10, right, on mastery experience. So those are people who this is their sixth sense. It's their gift. It just comes like that. Those are the ones who are going to have a 10 out of 10 on XYZ skill set for mastery experience. Other people, let's say they're operating at a 5 or a 6, and we want to get them to a 7, 8, 9. What is it that's missing? What's missing to get them to that 7, 8, 9? As a leader, as a company, as an athletic team, etc., what is your obligation to provide them the tools, the skills, the knowledge so that they can increase their mastery experience? That's one lens. The second lens is that they themselves have to have personal initiative to want to grow. They've got to want to grow. Then you can recalibrate 3, 6 months from this list, regrade them and see where the growth is coming. And are you doing your part? And are they doing their part? Again, the goal is to get everybody to a 10 out of 10. But a 9 out of 10 is good because, again, a 10 out of 10 is that sixth sense, instinctive nature, and it just comes super easily to them, just whatever the task is. Now, if somebody's below a 5, now you've got to relook at that. Do we have a round peg in a square hole? Do we have somebody that just doesn't care, has a bad attitude? Or have you been doing a terrible job? And you're going to have to make some decisions because something's got to switch really quickly. So that's pillar 1, which is mastery experience. Pillar 2 is called vicarious experience. So vicarious experience is people feel more connected. They feel like they have cohesion when they can learn from others being successful. So let's think through this. Simple word, role model, with a very complex meaning. So are you a role model? Are people who, let's say, are the 10 out of the 10 on XYZ skill, are they a role model? Right? Because what happens is when people are in growth and they're in the development phase and they see that other people can successfully accomplish XYZ, it now gives them belief that they can do it themselves, right? That they can do it themselves. So this whole vicarious experience of learning from others' experiences is pillar number 2 for building a cohesive culture. Now, pillar number 3 is verbal social persuasion. So this is what is your communication culture look like, right? What happens when somebody makes a mistake? What happens when somebody makes a really bad mistake? What happens when somebody does something really, really well? What is the way your group communicates, your team communicates? Is it positive? Does it hold people accountable? Is it direct? Is it, when you give people feedback, is it about things people can change? Do you take a step back and empathize with them and put yourself in their shoes? Do you understand that people learn at different paces? All of this comes into how your team communicates verbally, non-verbally, and now socially. Pillar number 4 is a human emotion. So as a leader, you've got to learn to recognize when people are having an off day. You've got to learn to recognize it, and then you got to do something about it. Okay. But in regards to a cohesive culture, growth, collective efficacy, which is believing in each other, you've got to learn how to have high emotional IQ, how to control your emotions. So, what is the environment that you're providing where people, it's not that they have to suppress emotions, but emotions are appropriate for the situation and they're under control, because emotions are, they're a normal thing, correct? They're a normal thing. And that's both on what I would call the positive lens, and also when something maybe negative happens, so you've got negative emotions to deal with, because again, that's real. Not everything is bubbly and warm and fuzzy and everything goes well, correct? But if you could have a culture where emotional states are made aware of, they're regulated, they're, people have emotional IQ, they know what to do, that will help you maintain a cohesive culture. Now, the last one is physiological states. So this, what I like to say is, this is the actual body's response to the emotion, correct? So whether it be, anxiety, right? Someone's nervous about doing a presentation or going into a big meeting or coming into an interview or something like that, and you see that. So now the physiological response for them is, right, they're twitching a lot, or moving their head and cracking their knuckles and clicking a pen, or in the world of athletics, I call it the P syndrome. They got to go to the bathroom. And so those are physiological states. So you've got to, again, have your team be aware of their emotional states and how their body responds to that. And then how their body responds to it, give them tools in order to cope with that. So wherever your team's at, I'm going to challenge you to go back and start with mastery experience. Build that list for everybody on your team. Grade them. Ask them to grade themselves on that list. Now you've got a training plan. You got an action plan, because you can create an implementation plan, correct? Then look at everything else around communication, leadership, role modeling, shadowing, mentoring. How do we handle with people's emotions, etc.? Look at all that. So let me know in the comments what you think your team does well on, where you think there are gaps. Let me know how I can support you and help you. Dr. Philip-Neri, see you on the next video next Tuesday.